One of my friend called me in November, I remember. He told me
Hmm.
that, what are you doing? You didn't start searching for an internship? I already got an internship. One tip which I would give is that I would always imagine that if I would be the HR, would I like my profile? What I learned in this was the compounding strategy really works. Even
Hmm.
if you're doing 30 a day now, after a month you have 300 to 500 applications, even if you're not
Yeah.
receiving the call. And even if I haven't received a call for a month, one fine day, I received 5 to 6 calls together. But I will say that the mindset should be that for 100, you are going to get one call. People think that networking is to get a job.
One of the questions I was asked by a hiring manager was, if I deposited $1 million every single night in your bank account, what would you do? And I was like, what? What kind of money people make now that you've had internship and also full time role? Before you watch this, I want to quickly say that most people underutilize LinkedIn. They don't understand the power of LinkedIn and how to leverage LinkedIn to get jobs. I have built an ultimate course. It's going to teach you everything from optimizing your profile, getting sourced by a recruiter on LinkedIn. There are live examples, and also how to use LinkedIn and leverage LinkedIn to create the job opportunity that didn't even exist. You didn't even know that it existed. Let me give you a quick sneak peek, and I will tell you that more than 350 students have joined this course and they are loving it. And you can see everything from setting your profile, networking, search techniques, job hunting technique, and like live examples where I'm actually reaching out to people and doing cold networking, etc. You'll also get free plugin, premium plugin for H1B and OPT and all of that. So I highly recommend you check out. Link will be in the description. Thank you, Ashish, for doing this. Really means a lot. I am excited to learn more about your journey. And I know we're going to film a separate video on Rutgers, completely different. But today I want to talk about how you got into data analyst, what was your job hunting strategy, and all of that. But before we do that, let's do a quick intro. Where are you from? What do you do? When did you come to United States? What did you do in United States? And what do you do now?
Of course, yeah, I would start by first of all, to be honest, thanking you that you searched me and, invited me to this podcast. So I'll start about my journey. I came in the United States in 2021
Hmm.
after means when the COVID started settling down or something like that, September 2021 to be exact. And in Rutgers, so I came here for masters. My course was information technology and analytics, which in other words is similar to MIS in other colleges. So my I earlier I was in India. I was in Mumbai, so I did my engineering over there. Then I worked for 3 years, so my profile over there was in project management. And
Hmm.
then I wanted to pursue something means more in depth, so I decided that I'll come to masters in the United States, and that's how I chose this course.
Hmm.
So came over here in September 2021 after the COVID. I deferred my admission, especially because I did not wanted to do it online. Came in
Hmm.
2021, and yeah, it was a 1.5 year course. So
Hmm.
graduated in December 2022 to be specific.
Hmm.
Did my internship in the summers, all the job hunting and all of it. And yeah, today currently I'm working as a data analyst in Mont Blanc.
Nice. I love it. I'm so excited to like deep dive and break it apart, like the whole story. But let's start because you mentioned you had data analyst internship. So I want to start there. And if we can like time travel back, you landed in United States September-ish.
Mhm.
When did you start applying for internship? Like what was the timeline?
So my we come from India and we take student loan and all of that. And so it was always in my mind, to be honest. And even my brother is doing medicine in India from a
Hmm.
private institution. So again,
Hmm.
everything, so it was always in my mind. So the time duration was, thus I started looking for it around November, December, but it
Hmm.
wasn't really clear in my mind at that time. I wanted an internship for summers, which is usually from June, right?
mm,
May and June
mm.
in the US.
May, yeah, right.
May and June in the US. So in November and December, it started hitting my mind that, it might be early or late, I don't know, but I need to at least pick pace on these
Mm,
topics. So I
mm,
started thinking about it. How should I start? So first things first is the resume, right?
mm,
Resume and a good, strong, optimized LinkedIn profile. So
mm, mm,
I knew about the LinkedIn profile because when I was in India, I used to see students over here, all the
mm,
people who are working in the companies, they had a really good LinkedIn profile. So I
mm,
started in India. I studied a bit about LinkedIn, how to be a optimized profile. So I came ready with that. But over here for internships, one of my friend called me in November, I remember.
mm,
So he told me
mm.
that, what are you doing? You didn't start searching for an internship. I already got an internship.
Wow. Okay.
And he was like,
Uh,
he was
yeah.
like, I got it in Volvo. So I was like,
Mm,
oh, so means he's a good friend of mine. So then I was like, I need to start. The
mm,
so the first things first, I started with my resume. Then
mm,
I so we have an ATS format, right?
mm, mm.
So my all the main focus on applications was from January mid. It was like
Okay.
a heavy sort of applications, like
Mm,
a daily
mm,
routine of application that was from
mm,
mid Jan. But
mm,
all the process, it started
mm,
from November and December. Means
mm,
making the resume, studying about the resume, studying about the LinkedIn profiles and
mm.
everything.
Mm.
So yeah.
Okay. Now, introspecting this, like obviously you've got the internship, even though like your friend said in November, like you should have started already, and you
Right.
started in January. The preparations kind of started in November, maybe a little bit earlier. But
Right.
now that you've gone through the process, what would you say, when should students start? What you're going to watch is an amazing story, but before you watch that, I just want to quickly say that all of these story, I compile the key insights from these stories and all the podcasts that I do, and I put this in my free exclusive newsletter community. Every week more than 16,000 people receive my newsletter and they love it. And here are some of the examples. You can see this was a podcast on George Mason universities, and you can see how to network and 10% cold emailing, powerful LinkedIn techniques, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in becoming part of this exclusive newsletter community, absolutely free. Link is in the description, or you can go to udj.com/newsletter.
So for a summer internship, I would say that students should start from December at least.
Mm,
So why? December is the holiday period in the US, to be honest. You
mm,
won't get any replies
mm,
from the companies, but the November and the December time is to train yourself, even though you are not
mm,
getting any responses. So,
mm,
so that when you enter the new year, which is Jan, you are already ready and you know things. You
mm,
even if you receive calls, it's like the best thing. But even if you don't receive calls, you have done 2 months of your practice, right? You
mm,
know how to apply, which people to approach, how is it
mm,
going to work out, and why is
mm,
it not working out. And then from Jan, it's like
mm.
you keep pushing on what you were doing,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
quantifying it, meeting quality people, and that's how you land.
Okay, we're gonna obviously dive into that. It's interesting that you say December, November, December timeline, because in my experience, and I've been doing podcasts with so many people, uh, they typically start in August or September, just like your friend, and then they end up
Right.
having an internship by November, December, because
Yeah.
what in my experience, what I've noticed is a lot of big tech companies like Microsoft, Volvo, and
They
all
hire.
these,
Yeah.
they all do a lot of their hiring during August to like September, which
Right.
sorry, August to November, which technically means if you land in August or September, you probably want to come prepared when you are in India or you're in your hometown, and then you want to apply. When
Right.
you land, you can start applying and do all of it. And I
Right.
don't want to, like, obviously in your case you did get the internship, and I do want to say that if you miss that timeline from like August to November, those are the big tech companies. But then there's a mid size company, and the startups, it's like startup size companies, they do a lot of hiring from January to like Aprilish. And
Correct.
that's where so that is like kind of the timelines you want to keep in mind. So if you miss the first boat, November,
Hmm.
December is your chance to like work on your, like, resume profile, optimize it, because that is when you will be like, oh shoot, I have so many roommates and I have my classmates, everyone has it, I don't have it. And then you will start working on it. did
Right,
did you
right.
feel that did you feel that or like, how did you navigate that? Did you have your classmates who also got the internship November, before November, December,
So,
and you?
to be honest, means our time was really, there was no hiring during that time because of
Mm,
the COVID thing and all of that. But yeah, the big companies like Amazon, Google, Meta, they do it like, means we landed here and it was like in 15-20 days we heard that one guy got an internship, and so we were like clueless. So that is true. We, even we applied for 10-15 companies, but I would be frank, in my case I wasn't very, I applied to the companies but I wasn't still
was
cleared.
the quality wasn't there?
Right, yeah, so the quality
Mm,
of my resume was not up to mark, which I
mm,
could say after 3 months. But yeah, we
mm,
applied to those 10 companies, we did not, 10 or 15 or whatever it is, we did not get through. But yeah,
mm, mm.
we used to hear, means even if it's not my college, but the circle is so big that some students have friends in other universities,
Yeah,
so they are like,
yeah.
four students got it from there,
Mm,
in Amazon and something like that. But
mm.
yeah, we used
Yeah,
to hear.
yeah. Right, right. Okay, let's dive into your like, let's keep that internship track. And it sounds like, obviously, there's two things when it comes to getting a job. One is online application, cold application. One is referrals, or getting an interview calls through a referral. I think referral is kind of, a lot of people now just send a link so that they can apply, but that's not really like a referral. That's kind of a cold referral. A hot
Yeah.
and a warm referral is someone helping you, introduce you to recruiter or a hiring manager, and making sure your resume does get to the position. But we'll get into this that part in a minute. But let's talk about optimized resume, because
Yeah.
that is kind of something that you worked on, and optimize LinkedIn profile. So first, let's start with resume. what are what did you learn throughout your process? And of course, you also got the full-time position as well. Is the same company you did the internship got the full-time?
Yes, it's the same company, but it's the different brand, basically.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Okay. So let's talk about what did you optimize in your resume, and according to you, like, and feel free to share your resume if you want to, and walk
Of
us through.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Okay. So this was my resume of, means it's not an ac- updated one, but yeah, this was the last resume before I got the job or something like that.
Hmm. Okay.
So first thing I would start is that, means before I started making this resume, I did various courses on how ATS really works.
Hmm. Okay.
Means, so in US, it is the ATS system which is followed for the resume. And I used to see that many people are talking about this, that you should have numbers, you should have percentages, you should have progress in your resume or something like that. So but it was not clear. So the, means as we polish our skills, I thought of just learning how the ATS system works. So
Hmm.
I did multiple courses on, means LinkedIn, on LinkedIn Learning, where they teach about how to really make a resume which is ATS, uh, in the ATS
Friendly.
format,
Yeah.
ATS friendly. And from there, I learned about it and then I made the resume. So this was a resume. This is a very simple one. So if you see, I have the education part over here. Then this is the skills and certifications. This is very important part, which is the professional experience.
Hmm.
And in the professional experience, if you I'll start from the below. So I added all my professional experience, but one thing which I noticed usually in other resumes as well, in which people have on LinkedIn and they work in good companies, is that they, in their pointers, they try to define what change they have made, or
Mm.
which
What
is
impact
related.
they have, or what is the accomplishment? Yeah.
Exactly, what is the real accomplishment means. And in terms of, so that whenever the HR reads it, she comes to know that he has done something really good in that domain. So, for example, if you see in this particularly, I had 3 4 pointers. The first pointer was that I used to mentor the data analytics and project management team to maintain their quality benchmark of our projects, which was 99.5 consistently for 6 months.
Mm.
So, like for example, like this, so there are many which I've added. So I used to handle the B2B projects for these regions,
Mm.
and
Mm.
in this I improved the delivery model from 55% to 85%, and this was in
Mm.
3 months time period. So such,
Yeah, and
yep,
and the big other thing is that every single statement you've started with an action verb, which
yeah,
mentored and developed and researched and formulated and instructed. So all of that is an action verb, and then you have said like, this is the action you took. What is the accomplish you had using XYZ tool?
yes,
Uh,
yes.
yeah.
So this was the logic exactly, yeah, what you said. And in all of it, I tried to show it like that. Means there are, so even the action words should be different, they should not be repeated, you know even the your pointers should not be too big, so that the HR, when he or she reads it, it becomes complex
Mm.
for the HR to read.
Mm.
And yeah, then we have the project section and then the achievement section in my resume.
Mm. Nice. Okay. So you worked on optimizing your resume. Obviously, you obviously used your on-campus job as a professional experience as well, which is kind of cool. And then you had your internship experience and then so on. So that's
Right.
cool. So now you have optimized resume. Then you kind of had an idea about optimized LinkedIn already, but you probably changed a little bit here and there too. So what, according to you, is like an optimized LinkedIn profile?
So what according to me, optimized LinkedIn profile is that, means, for example, if the you have applied to some job profile, and the HR wants to quickly check that what this person is doing. So what she'll do, LinkedIn is the next tool where she can find you, because she just have a resume and then she has your LinkedIn link in your resume. So it should be like properly organized. There, small details, means your profile picture should be a good fit for that profile, means it's just
Yeah,
a basic.
I'm gonna like just go through your profile and we can kind of like talk through it.
Yeah,
So, of course, you changed the heading to your current company. What was it before? Before you got the job?
before I got the job, I made it into the, means I was searching job in data analytics, right? So
Mm,
the background was related to some data analytics and the skills, like Python and
mm,
all of those skills. So it was a background matching to my job domain.
mm.
So
Nice. Okay.
something like that. Then,
Yeah. And of course, you have a good photo which clearly shows your face, you're
yes,
looking straight in the camera, which is great.
right, which is great. And this was one of the pointers, that your photo should be a good one. Then, for example, you should have the region in which you're working. So if you see below, right at this moment, it is the data. Yeah. So region is New York City. Um, so I don't know, means if it's people can follow it. So for example, some I have seen some LinkedIn profile where they specifically put the city's name where they are.
Mm,
So for example, they put, if it's Jersey City, they'll put Jersey City and then and something like that. But it should be like new. So now I have kept it as New York City metropolitan area. Even if the HR is viewing it, she can see that I stay in this particular entire, state area.
yeah.
So something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then headline is obviously the most important because it's very
Right.
search friendly, right? So looks like obviously you right now have data analysts, so it's very clear that's what you had. Before that, do you remember what did you have?
Yes. So before that, it was, so basically the headline. Now it is just data analyst, but uh, before, the headlines were in multiple pipes. For example,
Mm,
the first
mm,
thing was that I was a student.
Mm.
uh, the second, for example, the first was student or something like that, or it was actively
Yeah.
seeking internship
Yeah.
profiles. Yeah, the same
Yeah.
like this in the pipelines. So that,
Right.
even if you put it in three, four pipes, whatever, for example, actively searching for internships, the second is data analytics,
Mm.
the third is something which is related on what it is. So
Mm.
for example, as you have shown that first is your job profile, then what
Yeah.
you really do,
Yeah.
then again helping
Industry.
students and something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, mine is slightly like not relevant because I'm a creator too. But yes,
right,
over here, if I wasn't a creator, I would have added like, business, like gathering requirement
right,
KPIs or some keywords that are typically used for product management. I would have used that over here.
exactly. And now as you said that the keywords, so now I remember it more properly. So it was like uh data analyst pipeline, then I had put more two three things which were related to analytics field, like it was
Yeah.
project
Like,
management, then it was
mm,
something like data science or something like that.
mm,
And yeah, so it was in
mm.
three four pipelines.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize we had like so many mutual connections.
Yeah,
uh, Cool. All right. And then about is also very important because this is where you
yes,
get to like speak a little bit more than, just your resume. So,
right. So the about, uh how much ever I have seen the LinkedIn profiles and how they optimize the profile, the about, I, one tip which I would give is that I would always imagine that if I would be the HR, would I like my profile?
hmm,
Right?
hmm,
So means, uh, there is also an option wherein we have paragraphs written in the about section in various LinkedIn profiles, but I chose the pointers because it was in my mind that if HR is coming on my profile, and what if she's just 1 minute on my profile, you know
hmm,
if there
hmm.
are paragraphs, she won't even read it. So what I
Yeah.
did was, in those pointers I just mentioned the important points which are connected to my job domain. So it was project
Hmm,
management, product management and analytics, then CRM principles, then some
hmm,
coding, and at the below I gave one of my achievement if she reads it or not, and then some of my skills in three of my.
hmm. Amazing. And these are also obviously comes in very handy because LinkedIn is the third biggest search engine. So obviously,
Yes,
when they search, it's gonna be there. So nice. And looks like you're active right now. I don't know if you were active at that time or not, but um, then comes your experience, and then of course you added like all of your
yeah,
on-campus experience, and nice. And I love that you also have the same
yeah,
accomplishments as well over here, and then skills, you've added the skills as well.
right,
Teaching VBA Excel. Nice. You're like maximizing this.
right, yeah.
Yeah. Anything to like highlight? Oh, look at that. You do have like a dashboard or something, so that's cool.
Yeah, so this was like this during my internship. When my internship ended, it was a 6 month program or something like that. I just thought of, means we, these students have presentations, the interns have presentations to the management.
Mm,
What have they
mm,
really done? So I just thought of
mm.
putting that as a picture.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. No, always show versus tell. That always works. So I'm glad that you did that. Then
Yeah,
education, and then of course some certifications and volunteering skills and some recommendations. Yeah, I'm just skimming through it now, but cool. That's amazing. Um, oops. Let me stop sharing. Okay. So then you finished optimizing your LinkedIn, you optimizing your resume. Now comes the actual job strategy. How, like, did you follow any kind of strategy that, okay, I have everything done in November? You got this shock from your friend that, okay, I need to like buck up and like start working on this. What is the things did you do, or did you just start looking up online and start applying? Like, what was your applying strategy?
so my application strategy was like, obviously we do apply online a lot, but I had divided the application strategy. For example, so I'll also share it in some time, some of my sheets which I had kept it.
Mm,
So
mm,
I used to decide a specific amount of applications which I'm going to do every day, which was the online thing, right? So for example, just imagine that I have my college going on, but
mm,
then too I had an aim that I will do 30 applications every day. And these
mm,
30 applications are not easy apply.
mm,
These are the applications where you separately go, you see the company profile, website, apply it properly, and then get done. This
mm.
was one of the domain. The other domain was what I used to do is I used to try to get in touch with 20 new people every day
Wow.
on
Okay.
LinkedIn.
When you say try, as in you would reach out, not sure if they would respond or not.
Correct, correct. So yeah, try as in that was again my set routine. Every day, 20 new people on
Mm,
LinkedIn, which are the second and third connections. I used to reach out with them, to which I had a customized message. I used to personalize it, sending it to them and something like that. This was my second thing. And the third thing was that we have many connections. We have some friends, right? Who are connected. If some of their friends are really working in some domains or something like that, I used to try and connect with them over the phone.
mm,
Means
mm,
because so that if I can get in touch, I can talk to them over the phone or something, try to understand and something like that. So these
mm.
were my 3 to 4 strategies which I
Okay.
used to.
Got it. Okay. I'm gonna keep the reaching out, like all the
Of
referral
course,
part,
yeah,
like secondary, but because that's a heavy topic, and I want to dig deeper. But let's talk about just 30 application. That was your goal that you set. Like, okay, this is an habit. I am going to from January 1st. This is what I'm gonna be doing, and 30 applications. You will look at the application and customize it if needs a customization, understand what they're looking for, not just blind application. So
yeah. Right.
any specific insight that when you were doing this, like what worked, and how many do you think like job applications did you do, and when was the first interview calls that you started to receive?
Yeah, so this is very unpredictable for person to person, I would say. Means
Mm,
it's not that if you get the call late, you are not doing good or your resume is not good, right? But yeah, for example, what I learned in this was the compounding strategy really works. Even
mm,
if you are doing 30 a day now, after a
mm,
month, you have 300 to 500 applications, even
mhm.
if you're not
Yeah.
receiving the call. And even
Mm,
if I haven't received a call for a month, one fine day, I received 5 to 6 calls together
mm,
saying that, we saw your resume, this and that. When can we book your means? When are you free, available for the slot or something like that? But yeah, now
yeah.
coming back to your question again, how many applications I did and when did I get in touch? If I tell you that I started from December or January or something like that, I started getting calls after 1.5 months or something like that.
Mm,
I used to
mm,
get the HR calls at the start, means
mm,
literally like in 20 to 30 days, but ones which are like calling you for interviews, right? For the second
mm.
round, the third round.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
those were like from 1.5 months or 2 months.
Okay.
But then
Wow.
again, but then again, it's like it for me, the power of compounding worked because I had my 30 applications, daily applications with me handy. So even if I'm not getting any calls, after 2 months I had 7 to 8 calls together, at least asking me for a interview slot.
Mm,
And
mm.
that's how it started. So yeah, it was 1.5 to 2 months, correct.
Mm. And so if we do the math, like simple math, napkin math, I guess 30 applications a day, and that's like almost 50 days. So that's 1,500 applications or so. Mm.
For 100 applications or something like that, I would receive around 3 to 4 calls.
Okay, not bad. That is not bad actually. Yeah.
But 3 to 4 calls, as in means you can reduce it down more,
Okay.
making it
So like
making
one or
two,
two really like yeah
right?
yeah.
Making it two. 3 to 4 was like, people trying to understand that what actually are you looking for. Two
Yeah,
of
and
them
then when then
right.
when they ask you like, "Hey, do you need sponsorship? Will you ever need?" and you say
Exactly.
yes, and they're
Then it
like,
all goes
"Okay,"
off.
then they ghost. Yeah.
Exactly. But for 100 means, if you want to work hard, and if students are obviously students are going to see this podcast, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you will take this much time, but I will say that the mindset should be that for 100 you are going to get one call. Means
Mm,
we would be the
mm,
happiest if they get
mm.
20 or 30 calls, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's the
yeah.
mindset. Means you need to be ready that for 100 you're going to get one. So just
Mm,
imagine and just be ready how much you need to work in
mm.
terms of
And since you talked about mindset, and that is like big thing I talk about as well, how did you keep yourself motivated? Because obviously you're waking up with thousands of rejections or hundreds of
right,
rejections, and you're like, I'm doing this, but I'm getting is rejection. Like some
correct.
like you will start to self doubt yourself. You will start to feel lonely. It's very isolating process. So what did you do to kept yourself going?
Yeah, so it's a very good question, Yuri. So basically, this is going to be the part where a student can grow more, or he can even hamper his or her
Mm,
own growth.
mm,
So what
mm,
happens is, at the initial phase, for example, just the 5-10 days that you have started applications, and it is just 5-10 days, you feel a bit low, because
mm,
obviously you have applied 100 applications and you're getting all the rejections. But what I would say is that, from whatever movies we see, whatever books we read, it is true, the journey will teach you everything. So
mm,
even though in first 5 days you are feeling low, in 20 days, in 1 month, you get to know how the process is working. So
mm,
you know that this is going to be, the rejections are going to come no matter what. But my end output is that I need an internship. So in that case, there are two options: that you need to just keep going, or then you can just stop and worry about it. So
mm,
I would suggest that having a mindset of just being a bit light, even if you're receiving rejections, means if you think like that, that okay, I'm receiving rejections, it's fine, but my daily work, which is going to count in future, that is not going to stop. Means if
mm,
this one thing, means even if my friend is, so there is sometimes, right, that, oh,
mm,
my friend's got an internship, and then
mm.
you don't feel bad, but you feel a bit low
Yeah, you
because
feel right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
you feel
never feel like this person doesn't deserve it. You
right,
don't feel
right,
that way. You feel like I am horrible. I am not smart enough. I'm not
right,
good enough.
right.
And
Right.
and
And
you
then we
yeah.
try to compare or something like that. But then
Mm,
again, I would say that if some students have got the internship earlier or jobs earlier, there are some of my friends who got job in a late period, and they were like, they got the jobs which were not even comparable. You know,
mm,
they got it
mm,
6 months late, eight
mm,
months late, but
mm,
it's the hard work, means it pays off someday. So it's
mm,
something like that. So yeah, it is like, the student's mindset should be, I know there is like, even if we are trying to talk, they would feel low, but what I would say is that, means this is what I used to follow, that in a month or so I decided that it's okay, now rejections are gonna come, but my daily work, I was only concerned about my daily work. 30
mm.
applications, connections are done, uh, am I getting any referrals or something like that, and the main important thing, skill polish.
Yeah, yeah. I think though, like you summarize this very well. Like application focus on like improving, learn from the rejections. What can I improve next? You kept doing that. Focused on your like your actions versus worrying about the outcomes. Like okay, I can control applications. I can do better in application.
Right,
I can reach out to 20 people, whatever that number is. I can reach out for referrals, and I can keep learning the skills that are going to require me ultimately when I start getting interview calls,
right,
because you will get interview calls and you don't want to miss that time, because
right.
then you will feel even more terrible
More
because
terrible.
yeah, because you got the golden ticket and now you messed up and you bombed that interview. So
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Okay, cool, amazing. So you got few interviews. Now let's switch to referrals and reaching out to networking. I think everyone uses this term, so it's so overused that networking is the key and you need to network. But like, let's talk about what do we mean by that? And like, how did you start? Like, how do you find these 20 people that you had set the target? Like, okay, I'm gonna set why, and then let's talk about like why did you how do you find these people?
So there are various ways in which a person can start searching for people. Like, it should not be the case which I was doing. If I'm applying to 30 applications, and the first part was, which are the companies. So, whenever you apply for a job, you come to know that if there are some connections, which
Hmm.
second or third connections working in that company, you come to know that these people are working over there.
Hmm.
Those were 4 to 5 people whom I used to
Hmm.
just take it at a side and try to see if my other friends are connected with them, some
Hmm.
of them, something like that. That was a different thing. The second was to try to find the people who are in my job domain, right? Who are
Okay.
in my job domain. This was the
Hmm.
second. And the third was directly try and connect with the HR.
Hmm.
Now, the
Interesting.
first
Yeah.
and second ones are the people who are working, but the
Hmm.
third set is like it's the HR. Means if she,
Hmm.
even if out of 50 HRs, if three of them just open my LinkedIn message and I have my resume below, and while going on a subway to the office or something like that, she opens my resume, and if there is a chance, that is the reason I used to connect with the HR. So this was,
Hmm.
but this is only the online thing. But mostly in the online referrals, it's you will get a referral from them, but I would say in my chance, I did not get many interview calls from those.
Hmm. Hmm.
But then, yeah, the in-person networking and that also works, means plays a pivotal role. So, for example, uh, career fairs, which happened in
Hmm.
my college, many people
Hmm.
say that the international career fairs are not good. Now it
Hmm.
depends on how a
Hmm.
student sees it.
Yes, yes. Please
Mean
enlighten everybody because I've spoken very heavily about this. I've made a whole video about this, but please tell
so
me like, yeah.
when students come over here, they attend the first career fair, and then the message spreads around every students that, you know what, the career fairs are only for the citizen people, US people.
Mm, mm,
But I don't know, means it might be true. 90% of the students are the US citizen students, which they want. But in my mind, I had, I don't know, means I had that thinking that I don't know, means even if they are providing one job to some international student, then I don't want to miss that chance. Means I'm
mm,
not saying that I will get it over there, but
mm.
then I want to go. I want to
Yeah.
meet people, and I am not going to keep an expectation that I am going to get a job, but at least I'm going to talk to them.
Mm, mm,
And there, I have stories of career fairs, to be honest, wherein I got a call the same day from the manager of
mm.
Deloitte.
Tell me like how what happened, and I'll tell you
So
my stories later after that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. So we were just, we keep sets of resume ready for project
yeah,
management, for analytics. So I had two sets of my resumes, and
yeah.
I used to go and see that which company or which job profile people would be fit for me. And I was just moving here and there and trying to talk to people, just connect and something like that. So there was one, there, Deloitte, uh, the company was Dell, sorry, the company was Dell. And there was the HR over there who was constantly looking at me.
Mm,
And I was like, and it was in the back of my mind that I have seen this HR somewhere and I don't know where. Now the story is like when I took one of my courses in
mm,
marketing management, which was
mm,
related to marketing analytics.
mm,
In that course, there were all the people who were there in that course, no one was a student.
mm.
Those were the people who were working in the industry, and they were taking that,
Interesting. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So now they were already working, but only I was the student, which I didn't knew.
Yeah.
And now that's how. So she was not an HR; she was a person working in that company, but she was representing that company over there. And
Mm,
so you see, you have already network. You have a net connection with someone, and she looks into my resume. She gives that resume to her superior who was standing over there. He reads out the resume, and the superior was like, "This resume looks really good, and we are going to send it to the manager who is in the Arizona office." So at this moment, there were 200 resumes lying over there. See?
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, she had two resumes, one which also she had found a good one. So she said that you might get a call, so please keep your phone handy or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
I got a call at 4 p.m. that day from the manager saying that your resume looks good. Can you just apply on the referral link which I'll give you? The referral link was from the manager who was hiring in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
She gave me
Mm-hmm.
the referral. I applied through that referral. I got a first call at 5:30 from the HR. The screening happened the same day, and
Mm-hmm.
in next 15 minutes I got the second interview slot as well. So this was one of the stories.
Yeah, yeah. And so did that did that convert into an offer, or like it fall through for some other reason?
It fell through in the third round. Means it was because it was the supply chain analyst, and the only point where I lagged was I did my masters was not supply chain focused.
Mm,
That is where my competition took a one step ahead of me, and the other candidate got the job. But yeah,
mm,
means at least it this means the we what students think that we cannot get anything from career fairs, you
mm.
cannot. Means it is a good opportunity to meet 30 to
Yeah.
40 new people, take in their contacts, and make an
Yeah,
impression.
yeah, yeah. I'll give you like a couple of perspective for people who are watching. First, if there are 40, 50 companies who are coming to your university, uh, when you are applying online, yes, everyone says that, oh, career fair is not good and whatever. You never nothing comes out of it. But imagine this: 40 to 50 people came to your company. This narrow, like it's so narrow, and the opportunity for you for the competition is so less compared to when you apply online. You're
Right.
competing with thousands of people, and in fact people who were laid off and all of that, right? So you have a very good opportunity to make a connection. Second, everyone just thinks that I'm going to to career fair to get an like a interview call.
Right.
But what if you make a connection with a recruiter, and maybe they will help you connect with someone else who is
Right.
hiring?
Right.
And that is what happened with me. I went and I got my internship through them. Yeah, the company, like, they were QA department, and there was a DevOps department. There was nobody from project management, and there was a recruiter. I spoke to them, and like they said, these are the only positions we are hiring right now for summer internship. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I still made the connection, and like, she's like, what are you looking for? And then I was very honest. I said, like, I'm looking for something with product management or project management, because I have a people skill and I like to bridge the gap between tech people and so and so. And she really loved the conversation I had. And then after the career fair, I emailed her saying thank you for meeting. And I still remember the story about you
Mhm.
talking about your dog. And so I
Yeah.
connected the dot, like, and
Right.
reminded her, like, this is what we talked about and who I am. And then I said, like, "Yeah, I'm also attaching my resume. Please let me know if something comes out of it." 2 days later, she says, like, hey, by the way, I spoke to the project management team, and in fact they are wondering if they can, like, talk to you about project management internship. They don't have a role yet, but they are keen to understand like what
Right.
your skill sets are. And then we talked, and they made the role. And I have the internship, and then I got the
Right.
full-time
Yeah.
job too. So that's the thing that people don't understand. Like, you're anyway going to spend hours and hours online. Just spend like 4 or 5 hours on
Four,
career
five
fair.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
And
like, what?
correct. And
Yeah, go
means
ahead.
the point which you said was really very important, which was like people think that networking is to get a job. Means they
Mhm,
only means they relate it like that, that if I'm doing a networking, this the opposite person should give me an interview, should give me a
mm,
job. But
mm,
the output of networking is
mm,
not fixed. So for example,
mm,
it's just one of the examples, and there are many. For example, now you connected in the career fair, I connected with many people, and I have seen that some of the people who are there in career fairs, when you talk about your story and if you connect the dots, they write their own notes behind your resume.
Yes. Yeah.
They write their
Yeah.
own notes behind their resume, which means
Mm.
that they are going to have a look at the resumes, not the content, but their own notes. So they'll just,
Yes.
and the second thing is that means, I don't know, don't means students should not think, I know the starting job is very important, but just imagine that you are networking, you're meeting people, you have told your story. What if 5 years down the line, you have some experience in some company, and that particular person watches you on LinkedIn and gives you a good job offer, like for a
Mm.
director, for a president?
Yeah.
It can be 10
Yeah.
years down the line. That is
Yeah.
what networking helps for. It is not
Yeah.
for the interview calls. It is, but that is short output, you know?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I'm gonna share like a quick glimpse of what you just said and what I do. And even though I have a very successful job, even though I'm a hiring manager, I hire people. Here's something I do, and hopefully this is helpful for the people. Um, Look at this. I have list of founders, CEOs, and I have thousands of people who I've met, connected with them, and then I reach out to them even today. I don't need to.
Right.
Like, I know who they are, what they do, and if they are a founder, CEO, what does their company do, and so on and so forth. Uh, Again, the
Correct.
goal is, so anyway, like, I was not trying to, like, uh, my point is that
I
uh,
know, yeah.
it's
It
it's
helps.
not a
Means I didn't know
transaction.
about
Yeah.
this. It's a good point,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not a transaction. And another thing is, when you approach networking, don't have a me mindset, which is,
Right.
if you look at the messages people send, can you help me? Can you review my resume? It's always about you. So,
Right.
like, what are you doing to offer them something? Like, instead, try to connect a dot, like, hey, I see that you were from Rutgers and you made a transition from project management to data analyst. I would love to learn more about your story. It's
Correct.
learn about your story, not about you.
Right.
So it's not me
Totally.
mindset. Anyway, like, I can go on and
Totally.
on about this.
Means
I'm
on
like,
this topic, I means as we are talking, it clicks me further. So
mm,
I just got in touch on LinkedIn with one of the presidents of BlackRock, right?
mm,
And he
mm,
saw that I was working in Rutgers. I was part-time job in Rutgers, and I'm teaching
mm,
or something like that.
mm.
Now, what he said is, my son is in business analytics and is really not sure what he needs to do, right? So I took a back step of about asking my resume to be reviewed. Now I started a conversation saying that, you know what, I will guide your son and give him my number or something like that, whatever his questions are. How I have done it or how I am doing it as a student, let me just give him some advice if it's useful for him. And he was so impressed that he made a LinkedIn connection. He started checking up on me every week,
Mm,
as
mm.
in checking up as in not if I was helping his son, but he was checking up as in,
Like,
how
how are
are
you
you doing?
doing? Yeah.
Means, how are your applications going on? How is your job search going on? Means he was ready to refer me at any positions in his company, but he knew that there are none. But he
Yeah.
was at least keeping me in loop. So he said that
Mm,
in future as well, I would remember you. So something like that.
mm,
As you said,
mm.
it's not a me thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Really relatable.
Yeah, amazing. Sorry, like, we took a, like, a whole tangent, like a whole video could be about this, but and again, I'm just, like, for the audience, like, I'm not trying to boast about what I did or what he did. Like, hopefully you see and read between the lines and try to take this as an inspiration and not live an opportunity which you could potentially get it, right? So that's kind of the goal of this conversation. But let's start with
Yeah.
you finding these people. You found some people online and in person, whether it's career fair. Did you find anywhere else? Like, was career fair the only spot where you found the in person, or did you do something else for finding these people?
No, so career fairs was one, and then if you go to some of your friends' places and if there are parties hosted or something like that, people come in over there. But those cannot be always reliable. But yeah, if there are good people or something like that, you will get in touch. If
Mm,
you're doing on campus jobs in your college, And
Mm.
if you, so in on campus there is a mixture of students, right? It's international students plus the students who are from that particular, means the citizen students, right?
Mm. Mm.
If you are in touch with them, it also means increases your circle, because
Yeah.
they have a lot more connections now. You can,
Right.
if you are their friend, you can just talk in, you can just, so it's like that. And it's always like that, don't rush, means it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
thing, like
Yeah,
if,
it's a slow game. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So, right. Okay. So, how many interview calls did you feel like you end up getting from referrals? Was it more conversion through referrals versus online?
I think so, means it might be for people, but for me, no.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So referrals, conversion as in means, I, if I'm applying for example, so if I apply for 10 referrals, I used to get two or three replies from the HR saying
Hmm.
that your resume has, the first call or something like that, the HR screening. So
Hmm.
10 or 15 referrals, I used to only get two or three. In the most of the others, I used to get rejected.
Hmm.
Means they used to send me a rejection saying that some better fit or something like that in referrals as well. So in online referrals, I don't know, means referrals as a whole thing is a very dicey topic. You can get it and you cannot get it as well. But yeah, the conversion
Hmm.
rate was less for me. But
So,
I
would
would say
you?
on LinkedIn as well, means I have taken the referrals which I'm talking about right now are not the people whom I know. They are
Hmm.
strangers, like, and they, so there are people who are ready to help in the market,
Yeah.
right? So you are
Yeah.
get, means I got like literally 15 referrals to 20 referrals in 2 months or something with whom I have connected online. So
Hmm.
people are ready to help.
Yeah. But you would still recommend people to spend time in connecting and building this relationship,
Yes.
even though
Yeah.
it didn't get turned into. Why would you say that?
Because what, see, means now the story would be different. If it works for me, you follow that. But
Hmm.
again, as you said, it is a slow process. You need to see at the bigger picture.
Hmm.
Nothing in networking, I would say, it's never going to go waste.
Yeah.
It's never going, even if it didn't land you a job, in future it might get you something. In future it might, whatever it is, means we cannot say, means I do not have any examples, but it can be anything. Means you already know the job stability in the US, it's a bit unpredictable because of layoffs and all of this and all. What if your network helps you at that time? So you
Hmm.
should have a strong network. And
Yeah.
even if it not helps you, networking is the means, it should not be stopped.
Yeah, yeah, and again, like if the goal is to just get an interview call, like yeah, probably it's
Right.
not worth it. But
Right.
what if they help you review the resume? What if they help you with
Exactly.
your mock interviews? What if they help you in the guidance of negotiating a salary, which now because you
Correct.
talked to someone and you bumped up your salary by $50,000? There's like so many layers,
So
and
many
like you
things.
said, like again, it's a long term thing. Like 6 months from now, you could get laid off because of the market and that network you kept in touch, now they have a position for you to help you. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so got it. Okay,
Correct.
nice. Let's talk about data analyst. So you end up, you did all of this, you finally got the internship call. What is the typical interview process for data analyst?
So a typical interview process is that the first round is same for all the job profiles because it is a HR screening, right?
Hmm.
The HR screening is where the HR asks you some specific set of questions and you answer them. But I would say that what I have learned from this is HR is taking notes
Hmm.
during that time.
Hmm. Hmm.
They are taking pointers. So you need to speak the points which are really related to that job profile,
Hmm.
because the HR take down those pointers, and then I think so they go and review it with the hiring managers or the managers of that team, and then they look at the pointers and the answers of the applicant, and then they say, okay, let's put him forward in the second call. So that's
Hmm.
why what you are saying means you should be aligned very properly with the job responsibilities, and something. First round was that. The second round and third round always depends on company to company. It is not compulsory that in everywhere you will go and the second round would be something like this. Second round would be a typical type of assessment or a live test which
Mm.
they will take you. Means the person will come online, he'll schedule an
Yeah.
interview with, and he'll try to understand you more. In the first half, he'll try to understand you in about your profile, your technical
Mm.
experience, your projects or something like that. In the second half, he'll ask you questions. So okay, now you know about this, so tell me that this is a this is one type of scenario. How would you, means what would you apply, or something like that, this might be. And if it is a totally technical round, means totally technical round, so they would tell you that it is a SQL question, or it is a advanced Excel question, or analytics tool question, so you will be have to be prepared. That is the
Mm.
second third rounds of the data analyst. And then
Mm.
the if you go to those second third or whatever the series of round till fourth, because they keep on bringing in people in
Mm.
the rounds, so that they
Mm.
make, so they want to really understand that
Mm.
if the people who are already working in the team are really matching with the new applicant.
Yeah.
So you might
Yeah.
see that different people are coming in different rounds, but they are trying to check your compatibility,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
then you get the last round and you then close it.
Right. Yeah. Nice. I love it. What now that you have worked as an intern and then you also now work as a full-time data analyst, what are some of the important skills you think people should learn, like if they want to become a data analyst?
Yeah. So the skills would be, I will be very specific with this. Be students might be seeing, might be observing it on the LinkedIn and everywhere, that people are putting that for data analyst you should learn this, you should learn that, these are the 7 tools you should learn, these are the 10 practices you should do, or something like that. There are tons of pointers which people put. What I would say is, if you have 3 to 4 things and a proper knowledge of it, you can go in well. So for example, you need an analytics tool which
Mm.
you should have experience with, or you should know about it. Now there are like 20 to 30 tools in the market. Don't
Mm.
expect that. Even the interviewer doesn't expect that you know it. But
Mm.
at least one or two analytics tool you should know.
Mm.
Tableau,
Mm.
Power BI,
Mm. Mm.
ClickSense. There are many in the market. Why? Because all the tools are connected. If you
Yeah,
know to
and
know them,
oh yeah, right, exactly.
you
Once
are
you know the
going to.
core concept,
Correct.
you can basically adapt to another tools as well.
Right. So the first was analytics tool. I'll come to the second, which is SQL. Your
Mm.
SQL should be good enough for,
Mm.
because in some companies the data analysts handle the data. So
Mm.
they try to modify the data, retrieve the data, and for those they use the SQL commands. Again, each of these domains are very extensive. So I'm not saying that you should be an advanced expert in SQL and you should know like every single thing, but at least do you know the basics? Because if you
Mm.
know none of the interviewer will ask you like difficult of difficult questions. He wants to understand that does this person really knows something about this. So he is going to check your basics. He will trick you over there, but he is going to check your mindset. How are you approaching the problem? What are you
Mm.
applying? Which concept are you applying? So
Mm.
the SQL comes into part. The third is, if you want to be more on a better hand, you should know Python.
Mm.
So you have many libraries in Python which are specially used for data analytics,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So you can have the Python thing, and as of now, and one of the point which I would say is, I don't know if that suits for every data analyst, you should know Microsoft Excel.
Oh my gosh, yes, 100%. Like I don't even think you should say like if it suits or not. You absolutely have to
Right.
learn Excel
And
because
if you're and if a student is coming from India or something like that, or from any of the countries to the US for masters, I would say that you have time, so you polish your skills over there, so that once you
Mm.
come here you can tackle the applications and networking thing, but keep your base strong and enter the market. So Microsoft advanced, I would say that everyone should at least do the advanced Excel, because Excel does wonders, and all these tools are made on the Excel concepts. So
Yeah.
if you are using Power BI, Power BI is a Microsoft tool, and it is dependent on all of the Excel foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we look up and all
Yeah,
those things that you
everything.
need to, yeah, you need
So
to
if you
know.
know how to handle data in Excel, you know the beginning steps of at least working on data. So yeah,
Mm,
Excel is a
mm,
must. Even though
yeah.
it doesn't come in your job application, but it is going to help you.
Yeah. And one last skill I think we should add is communication skills, because I
Yes.
think data
Yes.
analysts need to speak.
Storytelling.
And
So
yeah.
yeah, means communication, storytelling, yeah, it is the most important thing because, for example, there is one part which is working on data, and now just consider that I am working in my company, but that data needs to be distributed. This means you need to make some insights or something like that, and you need to distribute it among the people in your company. And
Mm,
how you do it, you do it in a systematic storytelling way such that the opposite person understands. The data analyst never works for himself. So
mm,
even if you know the complex of complex analytics, and you make it and you give it to the stakeholder or your audience, what if they don't understand? If they understand the basic bar graphs, that is what
mm,
you're going to do. So that
mm.
is storytelling. You will have to understand your audience, and then you know, right, now I need to communicate in such a way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
love it. Okay, cool. What are some of the interview questions you got during your process of interviewing? And yeah, if you can share like some of the questions. And how
Some
did you prep for it? Sorry, what was your prep as well?
Yeah, so the prep would be like, for example, if I have an interview next week or something like that, you already know the job responsibilities and job roles and everything. So according to those pointers, they have given you that, my Power BI is a plus. If you know, if you have experience, it's a plus. SQL is a plus. Having a glance of all those pointers and job responsibilities, you need to work on those. So for example, polish your SQL, polish your
Mm,
analytics tool, and be ready for the interview. The another thing I used to do was, if you know, you already know the position for which you are, right? So try to see if that particular position, people are working in that company
mm,
on LinkedIn. For
mm,
example, if it is a data analyst, try to see if other data analysts are working, and look at their experience now in the LinkedIn
mm,
section. So they'll say that I'm working on this tool, and I'm handling the some team with Power BI or
mm,
something like that, some
mm.
work, something like that,
Yeah.
and then be prepared. Now the second part
Yeah.
is, as you said.
And sorry, I'll also add what I did when I was looking for a job 2 years ago is I actually even reached out to the people who were in that zone to, from a perspective of like, hey, I would love to understand how the team works and how the team structure works, because I was applying for like product manager role, and I wanted to understand from. So I reached out to engineering manager because product manager and manager works really closely. So I was like, how do you guys work together? And I want to understand that process.
Right.
So now I knew from,
Oh,
and then when I met with them, I 30-minute call, I understood the whole product cycle. And when I went for the interview, I was like, they were blown away because I already knew what they were doing. Right. So
exactly.
that
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
another step you could take. Not everyone is going to respond to you, so
Correct.
obviously,
But yeah, yeah, good
but
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, go ahead. What are some of the interview questions?
Yeah, the interview questions, for example, I'm just summarizing us as I'm going to summarize it up from all of the interviews which happened, right? So some of them ask you about your project experience and everything which you have done in the past, right? That is one of the thing. The second is, I had some live advanced Excel and SQL tests. So, for
Mm,
example, they give you questions, list of questions, and now you are live on the camera, and they say now you have 30 minutes and you need to solve it. So
mm,
he is going to observe you on how are you solving it and all of that. But in this particular type of thing, they are looking at the approach. To be
mm,
honest, even if there is a SQL query, you are not able to get the entire output. The person wants to see how did you start, which
mm,
logic did you apply. Doesn't matter if
mm,
you get the output. right?
Mm.
But at least if you are on right track, you are going to do it in your job, something like
Mm.
that. So don't get nervous in that type. This
Mm.
was the second thing. The third thing was, there was there was an interview with Ford Motors, that they literally shared their screen with their ongoing projects.
Mm.
That was the click sense. And they had some, tables made and something like that. Now again, that was very complex, but they just had asked me the basic questions. Now these are two of my tables, which relationship would you use to connect to them,
Mm.
or something like that. So be prepared for, you just have to apply your knowledge, don't get confused. So
Mm.
this was one of the scenarios. And yeah, there might be also such rounds that they won't ask you, they won't take technical tests, because you answered your past experience and you aligned it well with the job responsibilities. They become so confident that they take you to the second, means the next round. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and then assuming there are behavioral questions as well, like
Yes.
describe a
Yes.
situation where you had
Right.
conflict, and all of that.
Yeah, so there are behavioral questions, like, it was first round with one of the guy with me, and he asked me that, tell me five books in
Mm.
30 seconds.
Mm.
And it was like, do you read books? So I said, yes, I read books and I love reading and something like that. He asked me about the five books. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah, and then I told him, I didn't tell him five, but told him three, and why I read those books, or why it clicked my mind at that time. Because they
Mm.
want to check your mindset, or they want to check how do you respond, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
So those
yeah.
are the behavioral questions.
And this reminds me, one of the questions I was asked by a hiring manager was, if I deposited $1 million every single night in your bank account, what would you do? And I was like, what? Like, he wanted to know what my passions were. Like, if I money was not an object, would I still do product
Right.
management, or like what is it that I would want to do? So it was an interesting question. I'll probably make a separate video on how I answered that. And
Yeah.
I did get a job offer from them. So,
Oh,
so
that's nice.
and, but anyway, cool. What what kind of money people make now that you've had internship and also full-time role? So give me both, like data analyst interns, what
Right,
do they
right, right.
make, and then full-time salary range, obviously.
Right. So basically, again, the salary depends on which state a particular student is, right?
Yeah.
But I will talk about the average. The average salary always lies from $30 to $50.
What? 30 to $50?
Yes.
Wow.
So if you are in a, if it is a, if the companies are hiring more interns, it would be $25, because they have more interns in the company, or something like that. And then this $25 rate is all very much similar across many companies. But if there is like only one intern in, it depends again, but I'm telling you, if they are hiring only one intern in data analytics team or something like that, they can offer you 30. If it is a big company like Amazon, Meta, or something like that, if you are in California or something like that, you might also get around 40 or 45. So I have some of my friends who worked in Cisco or something like that. So they were earning $45 per hour. Yeah.
Nice.
This
That's
was an,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
this was an internship. And in the data analyst for a full-time job, I would say, means, correct me, means you have more experience than me, but correct me if I'm wrong. It lies in from 70 to 100. It can go up
Mm.
for sure.
Yeah.
It can
Yeah.
go up for sure, but
Yeah.
it might lie in 70 to 100. It depends on how you have done the interview, or what is the average market
Yeah.
salary in
Yeah.
state, or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
70.
yeah, yeah. I agree. And obviously, if you're in Bay Area or bigger cities, I think it can go in big companies as well, like big tech companies, Amazon and all of that, but probably go 120 as well. But
Exactly.
yeah.
So it goes 115, 120, because some of my friends got in Amazon in during my time. And which is that team in Amazon? Uh, I think so. Alex,
AWS?
something like that. AWS and all of that. Yes, correct. So they were around 110 to 120. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Amazing. Cool. I think we'll wrap up. And again, thank you so much for being so like transparent with your journey. I'm excited to like do this again and talk about your Rutgers journey. But before we do that, any one last advice that you would have for international students or students in general and aspiring data analyst, what would you want to say to them?
So one liner or a short message would be that you are in, means you are in not in US yet, and you have time. So the 3 to 4 skills which we discussed, be ready with it before you come to the US. Even if you're not ready, that doesn't mean okay, you come in US, you can do that. But I would say have those skills ready before, have your LinkedIn profile optimized before you come over here. These are the two things. And when you come here, start learning about networking and job applications, something like that. Don't forget to
Nice.
enjoy your master's journey. But yeah,
Nice. Again, thank you so much. This was so much fun. I can't wait
thank
to
you
do
so
this
much.
again.
Yeah.
Until our next one.
Keep smiling, keep hustling.
Nice.